Hi, I'm Jennifer Elizabeth Masters. You know, I just took my daughter to Ireland for a magical trip, and I imbued this trip with magic. And everywhere I go, I always put protection around me, and I knew I was going to be driving on the left-hand side of the road, driving a stick shift, which I hadn't done in a while. And I did live in England for 2 years, and I felt like it'll come back to me. I'll be able to do this without too much difficulty. And within the first 5 or 10 minutes of me getting behind the wheel, as luck would have it, and my daughter was navigating, I'm sitting on the right-hand side driving with this, the stick shift is on the left. And before I knew it, I was on the wrong side of the median in the wrong direction. This is in Ireland. And my daughter's kind of yelling at me, "Mom, they're going to hit us. Mom, they're going to hit us." And I just prayed, please let my light change before the oncoming traffic's light does so that I can turn and get across and be back on the right side. And that's what happened. So after that, I was much more careful and very discerning when I was changing lanes or turning corners, that I was staying on the left. And now my daughter, if she was here to do this video with me, she would remind me, "Mom, you even had a sign on the front, in front of your, on the dashboard, drive on the left." And on the other side, another sign for the navigator, "Drive on the left." And so the first day we got there and we checked into our beautiful place at the yoga barn in Ballymcgill, and it was lovely, and we unpacked and got ready to go out for dinner, and of course it was raining, and I was pretty tired, I have to say. By this time I'd been up for over 24 hours. And so we go to visit Jeff's, which is a pub in Waterford, and we had directions on how to get there. And I drove around the town about 6 times. I was starting to get frustrated and I couldn't find it. And, basically I just said, I'm just going to turn. And when I made the turn, I have to back up a bit. So before I made the turn, when I met our Airbnb host, I happened to mention, because my daughter was nervous about me driving, and I said, "Yeah, I feel like I'm going to have an accident." And when I was telling this story to someone earlier, they said, "Oh, you manifested it." No, this was not a manifestation. This is coming. There's nothing you can do about it. It wasn't that I'd been thinking, "Oh, I'll have an accident, so I had one." No, this was like a vision that I had. It wasn't that I was focusing on being in danger or having an accident. That wasn't the case. There's a difference. So anyway, back to me turning the corner, and it's coming, right? As I'm turning the corner, somebody pulls out, boom, and there was a crash. And I mean, there was a crash, a loud whack, and I heard the noise, and my daughter's like, "Oh, shoot." Well, that's not what she said, but something to that effect. And my heart was just, pounding a mile a minute. And I said a prayer. Of course, I always pray before I get behind the wheel anyway, pray for protection. And I got out, and immediately I went over to the other driver and I apologized. I said, "I take full responsibility. I know it was my fault. I am so sorry." And he had already brushed off his Audi, nice white Audi. And he goes, "Well, there's no damage here. Let's take a look at your car." And we looked at my car, and there was no damage to my car either. It was, as they call it, a hired car. And I didn't get the extra collision on the car because I didn't feel like I needed it, even though there was this nagging, "You're going to have an accident," this premonition. And so I know I'm protected, and I believe I'm protected, and I am protected. There was no damage on my car. The radiator, by all rights, should have been burst, but it didn't. I didn't have a whiplash. My daughter didn't have a whiplash. Our airbags didn't deploy. The other gentleman was safe. He basically was the most polite person I could ever imagine. He was checking to make sure I was okay. Was your daughter okay? And he was on his way. I got back in the car, I said a prayer of gratitude, and I will tell you, for the rest of the trip, there were no incidents. Now, I will say, we drove hundreds, if not thousands of miles through Ireland, through windy, curvy roads, across narrow bridges, passing buses and trucks, as they call them, lorries, where they were basically, I could have smelled the coffee on the driver's breath. That is how close we were. It was very close. But I never had another incident after that one, and I drove a lot. So what I'm here to tell you is I expected magic on this trip. We got magic. And, you know, we never know what angel, what angelic presence, or what other being is going to show up to protect us. We just never know. So thanks for watching.